Okay, education. Hey, Steve. Hey, Kavika. Hey, guys. Well, last video, we talked about the plantation politics, how colonial capitalism, environmental capitalism, cohort of monopolies have set up a structure in Hawaii to divert energy, to divert natural resources, and to divert human workforce energy into the program, into the agenda. And when we look at that program, it's a program, same old game, different name, control, manipulation, and confusion. The segregation in Hawaii plantation politics has kept different ethnicity groups apart from each other, because when one ethnic group came to a full conscious awareness or better understanding of this game, plantation politics, the oligarchy, the people running the show, was smart. They decided to import a whole group of other people, and then another group of other people who couldn't understand or communicate to one another. When one group was coming into a deeper level of consciousness of what they were doing to the land and to other people, they brought in another group. There's 3 groups in Hawaii that we can see, and the different layers and tiers in which the Hawaii sugarcane plantation, the oligarchy, the American military used for colonial capitalism and deplacing the indigenous people of Hawaii. First, it was the Japanese, Chinese, Portuguese, and Filipino. So these ethnic groups were placed in different camps at different time periods to be able to be the workforce, as we diverted millions of gallons, I think 23 million gallons of water a day into these sugarcane fields. So how does that play in our education system? In our education system today, we have the same thing. It's made for a different place and a different time. It was made for the industrial system. As you notice in our schools, all the way up to 2022, we still have bells. Bells, bells, and more bells, ringing, ringing, ringing. The first thing you can see is that you only have so much time. By the time you get to a class and by the time it ends, the amount of learning time a student has is probably 25 minutes. And by the time they're learning and getting into the subject to change and rewire and to relearn the subjects they need to, they're moving off to another spot. The plantation politics or this kind of industrial school system was made for one thing, for workers. What we want to do is get out of this mindset of you being a workhorse into what is your hopes and dreams and visions? What is your calling and what is your purpose here in life? And the calling and purpose here in life is innate. It's something that happens to every child when they're born. They're a blank slate. They're wide open. They're asking all the different questions. They're asking all the different answers. They're bringing in reality, both from both parents, both heritage, both lineage, and bringing in something new. What happens though, as we get educated, these newness, this calling, this fresh vision of entering into and participating in our advancements of human consciousness gets diverted. It gets muffled. It gets conditioned. And how does it get conditioned, muffled, and diverted? Within our school education system. And it's nothing that there's one person intently, deviously planning, I'm going to control the next wave of generation to do my evil bidding. But it's ingrained in our plantation politics that keeps people in a working class mindset so that their hopes and dreams aren't able to create, invigorate, innovate. When we look at the land, we can see it as the best resource to learn how to live sustainably, but also creatively. Our Native Hawaiian brothers and sisters were able to cultivate and to create new processes, new ways of engineering using old ancestral knowledge with the modern technology they had. What's stopping us from doing that today? It's the industrialization of education that's meant for one thing and one thing only, to make you, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, into the workforce that controls and manipulates and is controlled and manipulated by entities that are not from here. Otherwise, we would know their names. I want you to ask yourself one thing. Do you know who the head of Monsanto is? Do you know who the head? Have you ever met an Alexander or a Baldwin? Have you ever met a Castle or a Cook? Have you ever met one of these oligarchy people who has deeply structured Hawaii known them by name and asked them these questions, or heard them in our public sharing what they have to say about these issues happening in Hawaii? I haven't yet, and I would like to interview. I would like to see them sharing their mana'o on the different changes they're doing. Until then, this deep structures happening subconsciously at our local level. The subconsciousness of giving away your energy, diverting your power, giving away natural resources, and funneling into a system that is disconnected from the entire cosmos. When we get back to ancestral indigenous knowledge, it's really participation, it's connection with the divine. One of the things that's happening because of this disconnect is our families are suffering. And all throughout Polynesia, the word for land is of kin, of family. When we break these family connections, we're literally destroying families at its foundational level. Our education system is evident of this. We separate our youth from ages 6 to 12, 8 hours a day into boxed up classrooms to somebody we don't know. How does this make any sense? Not only do we separate them 8 hours a day, put them in boxes, give them off to somebody we don't know, we feed them the most unnatural processed foods that we can think of. It sounds like a prison. So before we keep on continuing, I just want to end with this. Our education system needs reform. If you want to be educated by the best, today we have technology. You could learn from someone, from a professor from Oxford, from Yale, from whatever school you use, from whatever indigenous country you can think of, from New Zealand, South Africa, India. All of the experts can be accessed online today through the internet. It's an amazing time that we need to incorporate this technology into our public school system. And the only reason I believe, if we do not continue to speak about this, that the school system will not change and incorporate the best of the best teaching our people today, is because they want us to be in this low vibe, unconscious workforce level to continue the process of globalization, that we could be controlled and manipulated and confuse one another and divide one another for global agenda. But we need to flip that around. The same way we have been aware of these things today, we need to be able to, global leaders, we need to strategize, connect, and relate with one another using ancestral knowledge and modern technology. And one of the best ways we can do that is learning Olelo Hawaii. Every region, every place needs its language that continues to transfer history, people, place, and special events. Whatever language that is, I'm considering Olelo Hawaii as Hawaii's language, so start learning that. We need to be able to use our language to develop our people, to increase our awareness, and bring in a new consciousness for Hawaii, for Maui, for our island. And that's our education reform for today. We've got a lot more to say about that. Next few videos, I'm thinking about holistic health or our medical system today. I just watched a video where one of the main physicians or surgeons, she was crying because people were leaving and she felt unsupported, not only by the hospital, but by our governance leaders today. There's a lack of governance in our medical system. There's a lack of support in our governance system. There's a lack of holistic education and medication in our health system. I want to ask you why. As big corporations increase in their chemical use, pesticide use, and monocropping, we got to see, is that what they're doing to our people today? But that's for another story, another time. Thanks for watching. Hey, Lisa. So yes.